Good evening from New York. I'm going to present today or tonight spirituality and science are merging as brain research connects for inward reflections. The birth of a rational mystic experience ends the reign of punishing religions and echoes the teachings of so many things that Jesus had to say were very much in line with what most mystics present. There's a kind of experiential quality to it. It's not a teaching, it's not a law, but it's the completion of law in a way that is more genuine and deeper. The aim of law and religion promoted with the idea that you either do the right things or you'll do the right things because you're afraid not to. It's a kind of spirituality based on fear. And Jesus taught an experience of virtue based on experience. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anybody opens the door, I'm going to come in and have dinner. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And then he prays at the end, I pray that all these, will, be finding themselves one with me as I'm one with you. And then he also refers to when the people are saying, "Oh, you make yourself like a god," and folks the God out, and so these things that one point, but it was a reference to the Old Testament times, referring to people as gods. You would say, no, that's polygamy. Well, that's what they said to Jesus, right? It's polygamy. But I wouldn't say that. It's about a kind of experience of unity, which is the rational mystic approach, which is to find a kind of integration in perspective that promote virtue. And that's what I teach in it's three forms of empathy that promote three kinds of virtue: goodness, compassionate empathy, and artfulness and creative empathy, and truth from objective. It's the use of empathy with these kinds of perspectives: objective, creative, and compassion. And so, as these things are expressed, your faith in love and the meeting of needs grows, develops, and this kind of love is the only real connection to the total wonder of life, which some call divine. Well, science um, in brain research are confirming a lot of things in mystics that say over the ages. And, well, for one, there's a need to integrate all of the aspects of yourself into a complete whole, which is flexible and adaptable, and something we call I. But the I is kind of an illusion. And as the mystic goes into this I, the mystic finds the divine, finds connection with all things, all people, and with love and source of it. So that's an extremely important thing to understand. And brain research showing us that we need to put many perspectives together if we're going to have a kind of integrated sense of self, which is best able to cope with life. And what is the importance of this? Well, it's not necessarily that you're going to be perfect, but we have a lot of drama, and the drama is something that should not have us. We shouldn't be controlled by our drama. We should be able to use our drama for personal growth. So the damage, faith, and love, and all of this, wow, that's an opportunity for grace. You remember, Jesus said, this, well, first of all, people were saying, was this man born blind because of something he did? You know, as a baby, or you know, or what his parents did, and Jesus said no. This was just, he was born this way as an opportunity to show the grace of the law of the Supreme God. You know, it's an opportunity. So he saw opportunity in our failings and our limitations, the ability to change our drama into a new story. And, you know, you may not gain your sight, you know, your hearing, if you lost it, you'll be able to cope with these things and turn them into a victory story. The key is to be the source of love yourself, to connect in a very powerful way to the integration that love aims for, connects us to. And that means taking the negative things and turning them around. It means approaching people as sick, perhaps, you know, being damaged, having their faith damaged, and the results of that, various addictions and so on. And in words of Jesus, when he was sitting down with people that the Jewish leaders thought were great sinners. They came over to, why are you sitting with these people? And, you know, Jesus says, hey, the healthy don't need a physician, it's the sick. So he sees himself as a healer of minds and hearts, and you know, equity of bodies, both. Um, but and that that's not science. That's well, just look at the core story. There's he was about healing and not about punishment. And science backs the idea that we overcome the evils that only faith and love creates um, by healing the brain, healing the body, healing the mind. And it's a healing process. Um, so what do you get with a punishing process? Well, you get someone who's only good because they're scared not to be. And that's pretty shallow. What happens when they're not scared? No, they do the same thing. And that's an amazing point to think about, because it reflects on our whole legal system. Jesus wasn't about punishing people, he was about healing people. This is what science tells us as well. That when there's a problem, there's a reason for the problem. There's a reason, why people do the bad things that they do, and it's kind of a disease. It's a lack of faith and love. And what happens, let's go to the word for Jesus. Jesus says, the love of money is the root of all evil. He tells the young rich man, the root. But he tells him, after the rich young man says, I want to follow you. And Jesus says, well, you have to give up all that you have and give it. And he went away sorrowful. He had great wealth. And he wasn't willing to share. One of those things he didn't want to share that wealth and turn it into something that blesses people instead of just yourself. And so, okay. And what is the root of all evil? The love of money. Let's go back to that. Well, what is money? What is the love of money? It's the symbolic, the need, the love of symbolic need instead of the real thing. So when you suffer damage then you from traumas from one type or another, you have an experience of helplessness and needs. And this creates a great deal of anxiety, and the brain steps in with more attainable symptoms to pull down the anxiety so that it doesn't make you really, really sick at the time. You can survive. Later on, it begins to be quite a problem. A lot of addictions are like this. So let's go to another thing that Jesus said. Because in order to unlearn that helplessness, you need to feel when you're strong. You need to feel what happened to you and what your real needs were. Really focus on them, express them, play with people, let them have you, have them. turn them into some blessing. So that is feels a little scary and a little painful. Um, so what Jesus says, you have to, you know, the way it's said in the Bible, it said you have to take up your cross. And he that doesn't take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy. You know, how many times have you heard that from the pulpit? Not very often. So there's a path there that seems to be essential. And so what he's saying is that you have to relive those things, pick up your cross, and overcome, relive with. But when you do that, you know, have a strong enough sense of love. And the real way to do this is not so much dredging up all of the things that have happened to you negative, from purposely nail your own self to the cross, but to have love applied to your experiences, general, to your feelings, in such a way that the symbolic doesn't hold up. And so then you start to feel that pain. And when you're feeling it, don't hurt. So there's a little blessing going on. So when you're integrating those anxiety, helpless, impotence, when you are feeling that again in a safe condition of experience love, what happens? Well, power of that anxiety, really that symbolic structures lost. And you know, we get rid of the symbolic, we replace the real. And so, you know, the words of Jesus about being born again, well, that's means you're going back to that purity, that connection, honest connection with needs and feelings that you once had, and that over time will be wrong, but it challenges you from. So as you feel these things, you come back to this genuine self, you become free from this rule of symbolic, the love of symbolic, the love of money, the love of power, all of the things that are symbolic of the real things that you had. So you're healing your past. So the past changes, you will again. You're becoming a new person. And that's why, you know, I teach that the pattern is that you feel the helplessness through feeling all these different angles of approach that are meant to be comforting and caring, but which use objectivity, creativity, and compassion, and focus, expression, and play in order to dissolve that helplessness by reliving. The reliving is the taking of the cross. You are reliving, and therefore, then you're beginning to be free. Then you can take up your cross and follow me. And as you do that, you become more Christ-like, and you become more divine. Now, science teaches us that these things that we're doing here in the brain, this sense of oneness with the world and so on, it's understandable. Brain research. That oneness with divinity, the world, all life, so it's rational spirituality. It's a connection to the infinite mind, in which we had no ego. Well, that old ego has to die so that the new, real you can emerge. So that's why, it said you buried within in baptism, so that you can rise. Newness of life. But that's something that is a constant process. And it's not about water baptism, a symbol, or that is essential. The real thing is to pick up the cross and follow. That being that other religions do this, what? Yes. That is a good question. I was going to say yes. And no, you can have different religion, religious belief, and still follow this process and have the same results. And basically, it's hello Jesus, and reality of Jesus. What? The probably empathy of the spirit. And it comes in. And change me. You become one. Change. You walk in newness of life. But that's a very complicated thing to do. As Paul said, it's like the thing you want to do, that's not what you do, but your heart's in the right place. That's in the right place. That's what's important. Well, yeah, that means that it's faith and love that heals you and forward. But at the same time, the proof of that is that you actually can change and your anger change, you're more loving person. So you hear these two things. This is like faith alone, I'm saying, and not by works, lest anybody should boast. And you hear the opposite being said almost. It sounds like the opposite, but it isn't. You show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. So, both are true. Both are true. And integrate those two things. It's only faith and love, but you have to apply. You have to open up to it. Behold, I stand at the door. The Buddha says, you could, well, feed your example. That there's a Buddha nature in you to realize, which is the same thing, really. You're realizing that pure, undamaged, and non-addicted naturally caring and receiving the care of the person that you were born to be. Um, that's what I call the love flow. And you're in the love flow. Well, it's like one old guru said, can't call the man in the shower dirty man. You can have that over the picnic. It's not a dirty person anymore. Cleanse it. But it's not the outside of the cup. It's not to, you just change your behavior. You change your motivation. And the ones that, like Jesus said, it's like, you hypocrites, you clean the outside of the cup and never clean the inside of the cup. What's the inside? It's inner love. You are inside, you're burning inside you. And the way you clean that is to apply forms of love, to apply certain empathies and awareness as forms of love. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean it's an attempt to care about yourself using these 6 different roles. They're very powerful. I talk about the using when I was in the students, I didn't like being in a position being like the head guru or something. And I remember when I left the Buddhist monastery, where you going? He said, "When you take the Buddha with you?" I said, "Well, it's Christian, but I tell you what, I'll take the army." But that's good. Take the dark. He also took Christianity, Buddhism, same thing. Very similar. But Krishna is also important in understanding the truth that taking up the cross and putting the connection to divinity, to divine love, into the throne, your imagination. That's your inner artist, who sits on the throne of your power of imagination. Who sits there? Well, the Hindus say you can have your own perspective on this. They call it Ishta. So, however you see this, this image of love, that's your gateway. That's your. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're going to sit next to somebody in church and think that they're envisioning the same Jesus. No, they're not. They've got a whole different. How do you know their vision of Jesus isn't more like, or more like Jesus, Buddha, or maybe yours is more like the Buddha than the traditional view of Jesus? You don't know. What is the traditional view? Jesus talks about real experiences, and religion is talking about, now do this, now do that, and you can get lost in all of it. You really can. So it's kind of like in Buddhism, they say it's the Dharma is like the finger pointing to the moon, but you have to read the thing the gaze on the moon. So religion sometimes, steers you kind of in the same direction, the good direction. But if you're going to get there, you're going to follow and to the enlightenment, to the realization of love. Uh, put that on the throne in your power of imagination. Then you have to leave the faith. There's a lot of people out there, that talk and say, well, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Well, a lot of that is science is pushing religion out of the picture. And you wonder what's left, because, there's a lot of ridiculous things that the religions say. And, they're full of books, there's some stuff that's pretty ridiculous. They didn't seem to have a real picture of reality. So people like to say, well, it's not a science textbook. No, it's not. None of the so-called holy writings are textbooks from science textbooks. It's just that, some imagery, some pointing to the moon of enlightenment. So this is something that, that the more you study, the more you look at it, the more things become apparent to you. And I believe that the healing of trauma, damaged faith and love, also helps your physical health. And that doesn't mean well, it helps because it will change your behavior. And when we do that, we do it at our own pace. It shouldn't be judgmental. Everybody's different, and it takes a greater or lesser amount of time to get stage 1 and stage 2. But over and over, you feel the helplessness you felt once around vital needs that were too much to bear and feel under the oppression of trauma. You feel that this is something in the past. You feel it. It's in the past, but it's not powerless because you're living in the past if you're living in symptoms. And a lot of people are. You crave power, you crave money. What do you crave? It's then it's the love of symbolic need, that's the love of money, and it's the quality. So it has a grip on you. It's holding you into negative things in the past. And it also blinds you to the good things that happened to you that you didn't notice or couldn't absorb because you were traumatized in the past. There was people trying to reach out to you that you pushed away because you let them in and you feel pain. So I know that, but so you feel that helplessness. You feel that original need, which is the unlearning of the helplessness. And you discover that need not by an act of will. It's not by an act of will that we are made better people. And that's pretty much supported by scientific research people out. But you can do things that will help you that doesn't mean you're forcing it, making yourself somehow transcendent to all the things that had happened to you. Isn't like that. It's about actually going through them and feeling the reality there. So you overcome them. And so feeling what happened, the needs, feeling those things, while being able to focus on them and rest them, which couldn't do at the time. That's the unlearning of helplessness, but it comes from love. And your ability to, even within your own mind, your ability to express these ones in objectivity, creativity, compassion. These are things that were around you that you would pay attention to. These were the presence of the divine love all around you that you didn't realize. So it's by grace that you were saved, by the grace of love, and not, not by your personal effort, but the effort to open to love and express love for yourself and others. That is something you can do, and that means basically an acceptance of divine love sitting on the throne of your powerful imagination, from which you get who you imagine yourself to be. People. So you want love, you sit on the love. And when you do that, then you start to feel. And you start with this application of passion, view, and objectivity, and creativity. You are starting to experience the release, the breakdown of the symbols that were hiding you from who you are, who you really are. The part of you that's really in touch with need and able to receive and give love. That's the real gift. And can get you in touch with that. And so what does that empower you to do? Well, after you felt, taking up your throat, and if you've done that and felt the need, ditch the sentiments, felt the need, and then there's something you realize, and that these needs are not real and losses, things that you lost. So then you have to grieve. That's the, I'm talking about coming from the darkness to the light. You have to grieve. You have to grieve and let go of those losses. And along the way, you also open up and realize there were some gains there. Now you can absorb gifts in the past that now you enjoy. And it's after that, after this grieving, then you're able to forgive your evil. It said, that's in the Lord's Prayer. Forgive my trespasses as I forgive those. So that forgiveness is part of the path of salvation. From this, from having your drama rule you. And after that, after you've done a lot of giving, then you're able to feel remorse. That's the hardest thing to feel, is how the hurt that you hurt other people. It's in your social minds. You know, it's so when you feel that remorse, though, for how you did damage, you're no longer that person again, or again. And as you realize that you're a new person from that, up to whatever, um, then you have this joy, joy unspeakable. Glory. What is the glory? The glory is the embracing of love, and helping to create the love flow in your mind. And sharing the message of love. That means tolerance. That means understanding the process and understanding the real experience of what Jesus talked about, rather than just going through motions and symbolic representations of what you need to do. You know, you can't take it backwards. You can't. It's not your own willpower that makes you a better person. So you're going to punish somebody to make them better. How good is a person? It's only good. They're afraid not to be. Like I said earlier, it's kind of shallow. And it doesn't heal the person. They're not born again. You see, so marvel not that I say you must be born again. And not just of water, but the spirit of love. And I hate to, sound so religious while I'm talking about what transcends religion. Jesus transcending religion. When they asked him about the old law, and he said, well, I didn't come here to destroy it, I'm here to fulfill it. Which, of course, means it's no longer necessary. So, yeah, they destroy it. but not like that. He just fulfilled the promises. He took you from your finger to the moon. And that means, you can do symbolic things. Oh, I accept duties in I accept the booty, I accept it, it's inside me. The Paramatma is inside me, that relationship back, Yeah, okay. Love unfurled. That's only part of it. And you're going to do it your own. There's one monk said to me, he says, I think my way is the Buddha, but I think yours is Jesus. It says, okay. And I kind of found out with all of them. It's, and that's what love does. It unites everything. Everybody makes sense of it. And that's what science does. And science will back me up. That trauma is going to be healed in these minds. That the very thing that you call you is malleable, composed of many parts. And it's like you've got a lot of different parts inside. So, nothing wrong with talking to uh, how you see your inner artist. Go ahead, have a conversation. But also realize that you and that inner artist are, in a sense, the same. That you are one. Jesus said, "I pray that they shall be one with me, as I am one with you." In other words, I want these folks to be mystics also. And then, of course, first thing they do after the mystics get done talking about love. All we do with that, with or without presenting a really point to learn. People bear down on the religion, and pretty soon the finger becomes everything, and you're not really experiencing the moon. And the moon, that's the end of the law. That's the end of this. It's ascended. The Sufis got to realize that. People they were mystics. And they joined the Bible. I've never thought of that. Who is in your? That's the question that I ask. Who's in your? Who's on the throne of your power of the mind? Who is that? A very loving person. If you see love on that throne, see you come. It's a voice in your heart. Guide you. We can come together if you will. So somebody said ministry. But it also says take that love and put it in all your decisions. Go to the greater love. And the greater love depends on democracy. That's where we get, individual rights. You hold these free from being self-governed. Etc., etc. So, I like to end my videos with, and believe me, I'm not teaching everything. I'm teaching you what Jesus said, what the Buddha said. Believe the thing, experience the oneness. And with brain research, you can make sure that your mystic path is function. It makes sense. So I suggest that. I think that's enough. Oh my God, 49 minutes. Sorry about that. I hope somebody is listening all the way to the end. That may be rare. Gonna have to run into be brave. Anyway, may the road rise to meet you, but the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, here, somewhere, may God hold you in the palm of his hand, comfort you from his hand, however you say, so you go along. And remember what Carl Sagan said, and be filled with the wonder of it. We are the universe knowing itself. So, be full of awe and wonder. Believe you will not and fully appreciate. Don't judge. Yeah. And there's a word that means what Carl Sagan said. It's going to say it again. Yeah, I'm saying opposite. So, make a great day today. You know, understand.